Environmental issue. But with environmental issues still occupying our thoughts, it is high time they made a comeback. Environmentally aware. The high-tech industry is starting to get more environmentally aware. Epic adventure. Bob the Builder, Postman Pat and Fireman Sam together in an epic adventure of fire, post and bricks. Equal access. BD offers equal access to rivals. Equal record. The race was won by Felipe Vivancas, who equaled the Spanish record. Equal time. Now, the Scotland-born athlete owns the equal fifth fastest time in the world this year. Escape problem. Sadly, the 2004 Olympics did not escape the problems of drugs misuse. Especially big. Tevez was not even an especially big name in Brazil, where the Argentine championship is not shown. Essential difference. That is the essential difference. Essential item. Cuba badly needs dollars to pay for essential items such as food, fuel and medicine. Estate firm. The real estate firm, which dominates Lebanon's stock exchange, ended the day down at $8.08. Estate tax. It also will look at real estate tax system. Estimate cost. Sri Lanka's government has estimated reconstruction costs at nearly $3 billion. Estimate damage. You need very complicated processes to estimate damages. Ethnic minority. Just 13 of Britain's 659 MPs are from ethnic minority groups, he added. Eurozone. However, total output across the Eurozone is forecast to fall in 2004 from 1.9% to 1.8%. Europe site. Some net service firms began blocking access to the Lycus Europe site in protest at the action. European Commission. The European Commission is being pragmatic in its approach. European country. The Chancellor said he hoped other G8 and European countries would follow suit. European market. Japan is where North America and Western European markets can be in a couple of years' time. European Parliament. I feel insulted by having him represent me in the European Parliament. European Union. A fresh delay has hit controversial new European Union rules which govern computer-based inventions. Even bad. Construction is even worse. Quotation mark. Even have. They even have documentaries with the F word. Even make. It's very emotional. It even makes grown men cry, she said. Even mention. And that's without even mentioning his majestic match-winning penalty. Even more. It may be about something even more important than that. Evening gown. Other items will include an evening gown belonging to Ella Fitzgerald. Eventually become. Haley emigrated to Canada in 1947, where he eventually became a citizen. Eventually lose. Britain eventually lost the contest 3-2. Eventually win. Eventually, women could win out in both life and physical sciences, he says. Ever have. This is the best life we could ever have. Ever know. Did you ever know Mr. Ebers to make an accounting entry into WorldCom books? Ever see. Ever seen a bus inside a house? Quotation mark. Ever want. It's all I ever wanted. Evidence prove. There is also evidence that proves the fact that my client has been persecuted. Exact mechanism. The exact financing mechanism of the fund is to be ironed out in the coming days, said the WSIS. Examine evidence. The Commissioner's Office will now examine the Lib Dem evidence. Example illustrate. He said the Northern Ireland example illustrated real difficulties to be confronted. Excellent job. But Lord Faulkner praised his minister for an excellent job. Exceptional job. The LTA has always done an exceptional job of ensuring that exchange funds, exchange-traded funds offer an alternative way to track a stock market. Exchange operator. Rival exchange operator Euronext has also said it may bid for the LSE. Exchange rate. Some countries have tried to use fixed exchange rates. Exchange reserve. Japan has $850 billion in foreign exchange reserves. Exciting time. These are exciting times for Arsenal. Executive Chairman. Dutch co-chairman Anthony Bergmans will take on the role of non-executive chairman. Executive Director. AstraZeneca has now appointed a new executive director to the board. Executive Producer. A BBC spokeswoman said Andy Peters would continue as executive producer on the show. Exhibition site. Sebit itself is huge. The exhibition site could almost be classified as a town in its own right. Exit plan. Kennedy calls for Iraq exit plans. Expand market. Apple iPod family expands market. Expansion plan. This speed of setup has helped Tata with its aggressive expansion plans. Expect change. I would expect their perspective to change if they were to do that. Expect more. We were also expecting a bit more from Bernard Lagat in the men's 1,500 meters. Expensive business. Ignorance is and always has been an expensive business. Expensive suit. It's the BNP in an expensive suit. Experience failure. The firm said fewer than 1 in 10,000 consoles had experienced component failures. Experience show. You can see that the experience we have in the squad is showing. Experienced user. Experienced and keen PC users. Expert believe. Some experts believe this could require borrowing of up to $4.5 trillion over a 20-year period. Exploration area. Karen has also been granted approval to extend its Rajasthan exploration area. Export increase. Imports rose by 3.4%, while exports increased by only 0.6%. Export market. If it exports that oil, it will be marketing a stolen product, he added. Export oil. If it exports that oil, it will be marketing a stolen product, he added. Export order. We are seeing improved export orders. Export product. Cocoa was the main export product in Nigeria during the 1960s. Export rise. Chinese exports rise 25% in 2004. Express anger. She expressed her anger at the person who hasn't worked and wants to take what's yours. Quotation mark. Express concern. Analysts expressed concern at the unexpected paring back in profit. Express view. He expresses views which are now more than common amongst society today. Express willingness. Maureen's, 28, has already expressed a willingness to come to England. Extend career. Campbell to extend sprint career. Extend life. But IRESA proved no better than a placebo in extending lives in the trial involving 1,692 patients. Extra capacity. Then there could be a proper debate nationally about where this extra capacity should go. Extra cost. Wireless and a DVD burner can be added at extra cost. Extra funding. The 50 new pilot areas to get special attention will also receive extra government funding. Extra service. BT is keen to provide extra services to its broadband customers. Extra time. Chelsea clinch cup in extra time. Extreme pain. The lawsuit said Willis has endured extreme mental, physical and emotional pain and suffering. Extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult to get the balance for friendlies. Extremely disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed. Extremely generous. The allowances are extremely generous, said Mr. Ingram. Extremely hard. It is extremely hard to penetrate with our agents. So was the IRA. Extremely important. Europe is an extremely important market for Nintendo, Mr. Iwata added. Extremely pleased. Creatively, we're extremely pleased with the show and hope the audience will find it, he added. Extremely small. An extremely small computer that is designed to bring the Macintosh to the masses. Extremely worrying. There are extremely worrying parallels between Britain now and Germany during the 30s. Face arrest. Terror suspects face house arrest. Face ban. US casino tricks face ban in UK. Face barrier. Ethnic producers face barriers. Face challenge. Microsoft is facing a growing challenge to ease hold on the web using population. Face competition. It will face competition from emerging technologies such as WiMAX. Face crisis. The human rights movement faces a crisis of faith in the value of human rights, she said. Face eviction. Singer Ferguson facing eviction. Face future. Games firms face tough future. Face opposition. But Mr. Straw faces tough opposition to the move. Face poverty. 250,000 Sri Lankans and 23,500 people in the Maldives are also facing poverty. Face prosecution. Anglers could face prosecution. Face reality. The sooner we face that reality, the sooner workable reforms can be pursued. Face risk. UK economy facing major risks. Face situation. So at the beginning of this year, fans faced a new situation. Face threat. The US population is aging, and the nation does face genuine threats in the world. Face time. Sri Lanka's banks face hard times following December's tsunami disaster, officials have warned. Face trial. He is now facing a second trial on a charge of second-degree murder. Face west. Nottingham Forest boss Gary Megson could face a trip back to Old Club West. Factory manager. Factory manager Herbert Stuker says that he now hopes to increase productivity by nearly 30%. Factory produce. In 1999, when BMW still owned Rover, the Oxford factory was producing the award-winning Rover 75. Fail miserably. Will they triumph or will they fail miserably? Failed test. Kuznetsova failed a drugs test. Fair complexion. He is described as being 5 feet, 9 inches, tall, slim, with blonde hair, blue eyes and a fair complexion. Fair play. Fair play matters. Fair share. Mr. Howard said Britain should take its fair share of the world's genuine refugees. Fair system. But he said it was yet to be seen if Mr. Clark could deliver a fair and efficient asylum system. Fair trading. Mr. Cable added that the Office of Fair Trading should investigate the market. Fairly constant. The rate we can send MMS into the mobile network is fairly constant, he said. Fairly full. I'm fairly full on with everything I do. Fairly quick. It's a tiny piece of work, which should be a fairly quick recovery. Fairy tale. Christian Andersen's fairy tales are timeless and universal, said Shar. Fall down. Endorphin simulates how the actor falls downstairs, for instance, or crumples up after a gunshot. Fall over. I used to take 2 steps and fall over. False document. The new bill will also create new criminal offenses on the possession of false identity documents. False imprisonment. Mr. Jackson denies 10 charges of child abuse and false imprisonment. False report. Some medical staff have been charged with writing false medical reports. Family connection. All were arrested because of a family connection to Jerry Conlon. Family feud. India's Reliance family feud heats up. Family history. Most people researching their family history want to discover some tale of illicit love. Family holiday. Such absences are often due to family holidays. Famine relief. It topped the charts in the US and UK, raising millions of dollars for African famine relief. Famous director. Nair has become one of India's most famous and respected directors. Famous victory. Nonetheless, he was furious about several decisions that he felt denied his side a famous victory. Fantastic job. Stuart Gray has done a fantastic job as caretaker manager. Fantastic news. Fantastic news. Fantastic performance. Manchester United coach Sir Alex Ferguson. It was a fantastic performance by us. Fantasy novel. Howl's Moving Castle is based on a children's fantasy novel by UK author Diana Wynne-Jones. Far away. 4 years into that process, and the target seems further away than ever. Far East, he said. I think we were all affected by seeing the reports coming from the Far East. Far enough. Winemakers, however, claimed the support did not go far enough. Far more. There are far more important demands on government funds. Fast access. Fast web access is encouraging more people to express themselves online, research suggests. Fast computer. Due next week. The top 500 list officially charts the fastest computers in the world. Fast connection. The standard speed is 512 kbps, though faster connections are available. Fast food. And fast food giants McDonald's are listed as donating a sum of £10,575 British pounds. Fast forward. Satellite customers without PVR cannot pause, rewind or fast forward their programs. Fast grow. Mr. Goss transformed Nissan into a fast-growing and profitable business. Fast lane. One person in the UK is joining the internet's fast lane every 10 seconds, according to BT. Fast rate. That expansion pushed annual growth to 2.3%, the fastest rate in 2 years. Fast track. As a result, hopes that approval of the deal may be fast-tracked have disappeared, the paper said. Fatal mistake. It would be a fatal mistake not to take full advantage of the union's safety effect. Favorite place. It's one of my favorite places to play. Favorite star. Julia Roberts won her 10th consecutive crown as favorite female movie star. Fax message. There is no good sending us the same fax message the press people received. Fax paper. But Brady told The Sun the bid was a waste of fax paper and my time. Feature film. That said, she is currently working on a feature film with Dogville and Dancer. Federal debt. Moderate deficits and slowly rising federal debt can be sustained indefinitely. Feel ashamed. If you voted for it, you should feel ashamed of yourself. Feel bad. Oh, but she's not black. Well, let's make her feel real bad about it then. Feel confident. Since then, I feel very confident on court and my game is there. Feel embarrassed. If you are trapped in real-life blind date context, you can't get away and you feel embarrassed. Feel good. I felt good. Feel guilt. I felt guilt in the marrow of my bones, said the Ealing North MP. Feel guilty. I never feel guilty about eating, especially when I'm exercising. Feel happy. I felt very, very happy, because I'd spent so long without any family. Feel sick. Thank you all you guys for voting for me. I feel sick right now. Feel sorry. I also feel a little sorry for Guillermo because I get very excited whenever I play for my country. Feel uncomfortable. It was very hot in the National Indoor Arena and I felt uncomfortable in the commentary box. Feel way. Nadal also holds convincingly as both players feel their way into the fourth set. Fellow man. He was a whimsical, droll fellow, but also a very artistic man. Female singer. Singer Jennifer also took home 2 awards, for Best French Female Singer and Best French Album. Fervent supporter. I am a fervent supporter of the break. Festive season. Interactive posters are helping Londoners get around the city during the festive season. Few benefit. Unions accuse Walmart of paying staff less than its rivals do, with fewer benefits. Few day. Now we see this can disappear in a few days, a few minutes, few hour. Once we get the other permissions, normal time period for setup is a few hours, he said. Few minute. Yeah, a few minutes after I asked him a question. Few month. But I was very limited until a few months ago. Few second. The shortest compromise time was only a few seconds. Few thing. What I saw and felt made it easier to understand a few things. Few week. Standard & Poor's upgraded Pakistan a few weeks ago. Few year. The 67-year-old also said he stopped working a few years ago because he lost his spark for acting. Fierce competition. The growth in remittances has sparked fierce competition between banks. Fight back. Again Roddick broke first and again Hewitt fought back, taking the lead with a superb backhand pass. Fight crime. Mr. Howard asked, how can they fight crime when they are fighting each other? Fight hunger. It's Christmas, which is raising money to fight hunger in Africa. Fight illness. He resigned in November to fight the illness. Fight poverty. And it had to fight poverty, not just focus on political rights for elites. Fight terrorism. Mr. Blair said states had to work with the US to fight global terrorism. Figure out. Then they figure out how to make money and they always make a lot of money. Figure represent. Nonetheless, the figures represent less than 1% of India's overall exports. Figure show. The Labour Party received more than £5 million in donations in the final quarter of 2004, new figures show. File complaint. The US said it filed the complaint after talks failed to find a solution. File name. Users can search under a variety of criteria, including file name, size, date and time. File sharing. The movie industry has struck out at file sharing networks with another round of lawsuits in the US. Film actor. The Screen Actors Guild, SAG, represents US film and TV actors. Film award. Vera Drake scoops Film Award. Film awards. The Orange British Academy Film Awards will be shown on BBC One at 2010 GMT. Film career. In 1984 he started his film career playing a doomed teenager in horror film Nightmare on Elm Street. Film category. The UK has two contenders in the Best Live-Action Short Film category. Film debut. His film debut, in 1950, was in the film. Film director. Film director Quentin Tarantino is to direct an episode of US television series CSI. Film festival. Now in its third year, Bangkok is a relatively recent addition to the hectic film festival calendar. Film footage. In July, the BBC documentary Secret Agent featured covertly filmed footage of BNP activists. Film industry. But I found the Hindi film industry very warm and encouraging. Filmmaker. Filmmakers haven't produced films that people adore this year, he said. Filmmaking. I liked the fluid nature of filmmaking. Film music. Users would swap files, such as films and music, by exchanging data over the network. Film producer. Formed in the 1940s, the firm was a leading UK film producer and cinema owner for many years. Film production. Hollywood legend Dustin Hoffman has hit out at the quality of current films and theater productions. Film show. Singers film to show at festival. Film star. Da Vinci film to star Tom Hanks. Film studio. Japan's oldest film studio will also be honored along with Day-Lewis. Film version. Daldry directed the successful film version of Billy Elliot, adapted from Lee Hall's script. Film video. Rapper films music video in jail. Final day. The Final Days portrays the final days of the member of the White Rose movement. Final days. The Final Days portrays the final days of the member of the White Rose movement. Final decision. A public vote will also take place, which will account for 25% of the final decision. Final defeat. Slovakia's win made up for last year's final defeat to the United States. Final destination. From there, passengers would be ferried to their final destinations by smaller planes. Final diagnosis. The final diagnosis and In High Places followed, both achieving a popular following. Final form. Creative expects it to hit the market in its final form later this year. Final game. Women's football legend Mia Hamm has played her final game. Final match. Winners meet in final match. Final minute. But the defining moments came with Ireland under the cosh in the final 15 minutes. Final month. Growth in the final 3 months of 2004 marked the 50th consecutive quarter of expansion. Final phase. She's decided against this so that she does not risk the final phase of her recovery. Final price. If the final price is at the top of the range, the company could be valued at as much as 200 euros. Final ruling. I estimate that the final ruling will be issued by the end of February. Final stage. They made the final stages again, in 2002, but this time lost out to the might of Sweden. Final time. Quarter-finals. 4 times. Finally close. Finally, he closed the show with a rousing version of Hey Jude. Finally feel. Finally I felt I put myself in a position to try and win Grand Slams again, said Davenport. Finally pass. The bill was finally passed on Friday evening, after more than 30 hours of debate. Finally win. Eminem told the crowd. D12 finally won an award. Thank you very much. Finance Minister. The plan was put forward by G7 finance ministers over the weekend. Financial advisor. The company has also sued former auditors and financial advisors for damages. Financial affair. An estimated 12 million Britons now use the net as a way of managing their financial affairs. Financial analyst. Financial analysts broadly welcomed the Fed's move and shares traded largely flat. Financial burden. It is too early for us to state what our financial burden will be. Financial commitment. Existing financial commitments on their own will not stop the pandemic. Financial hardship. This latest increase of 20p an hour will cause even more financial hardship. Financial impact. Tourists cutting short their holidays in affected areas may suffer a financial impact too. Financial incentive. The financial incentives were driving criminal use of technology, he said. Financial information. He, Ebers, has got a hands-on grasp of financial information, Mr. Sullivan told a New York court. Financial institution. It is America's second largest financial institution. Financial loss. GM said it was expecting reduced financial losses in Europe in 2005. Financial market. On Wednesday, however, South Korea moved to steady the financial markets. Financial operation. Yuli has recently been the subject of intense media speculation over its financial operations. Financial problem. We have financial problems and the revenue it could bring in would certainly help our situation. Financial review. When the new stadium opens we will go through a thorough financial review, Mr. Dean said. Financial sense. Only if the proposals make financial sense. Financial situation. But we were told in no uncertain terms that the financial situation did not allow that. Financial year. ABSA also announced that it expects to see earnings grow by 25% in its current financial year. Find employment. Eventually ASIMO could find gainful employment in homes and offices. Find help. Some financing has to be found to help narrow the divide. Find key. Many are finding memory keys and memory sticks are simply not big enough to hold everything. Find love. We found that kids love playing in surround sound, said Jaylee Boff from Hot Seat. Find people. Kujda found 5 other people who were interested and the Gamma Boys Orchestra project was born. Quotation mark. Find site. Councils must find gypsy sites. Find solution. The U.S. said it filed the complaint after talks failed to find a solution. Find support. The Mail on Sunday survey found that 63% supported a hunting ban compared with 24% against. Find target. Sports fans who drive to matches may also find themselves the target of the Commission's road rage. Find time. But somehow I found time to get out, even met someone and got married. Find way. We will find a way to deal with that, Pound said. Fine line. I was that fine line for a long time. Finest hour. The audio award was won by Call of Duty. Finest hour and Hitman. Contracts won the Music Award. Finish line. But World 5000 meters champion Dibaba make a telling strike for the finishing line in the final 20 meters. Finished product. No one who plays the finished product will wonder why it took so long. Fire gun. But Mr. Dowell also said the residue would have been present if Mr. Blake fired a gun that night. Firing range. The box had come from an area where officers went after being on the firing range. Firm action. I think truancy is a very bad thing and that firm action should be taken to deal with it. Firm base. GE is the U.S. biggest firm based on stock market valuation. Firm commitment. We have made a firm commitment. Firm decision. A firm decision on whether the trial takes place as expected in January. Firm hold. Game firm holds cast auditions. Firm promise. The firm promised no jobs would be lost as a result of new ticket machines. Firmly believe. We firmly believe that if we can satisfy his ambition he will remain a Liverpool player. Firmly resist. We believe that these demands should be firmly resisted, said David Frost, BCC Director General. First act. There is no first or second act. First album. Her first album was called The Soul Sessions. First Amendment. This undermines a fundamental First Amendment right that protects all reporters. First appear. Mrs. Carroll was born in the same year that plastic cards first appeared in the UK. First appearance. Marked her first appearance on home soil since winning 1,500 meters and 800 meters gold in Athens with a victory. First approach. Hayward revealed that Hoddle was one of the first to be approached after Jones' departure. Quotation mark. First attempt. He was third in London in 2002 in his first serious attempt at the marathon. First award. Douglas Fairbanks SR was the first president and oversaw the first awards. First challenge. Phil Neville got booked for his first challenge. First child. The first Children's Commissioner for England has been appointed. First choice. The show must go on as their first choice. First choose. The first are chosen by the magazine's writers and consultants. The second are voted for by readers. First come. When I first came there was a lot of skepticism back in England. Maybe some out here, he said. First computer. Jeff Raskin, head of the team behind the first Macintosh computer, has died. First day. There was a flurry of downloads on its first day of release. First game. The match on June 4th will be my first 15-man game. First group. Mauritius host the first group, and their opponents are Madagascar, the Seychelles and South Africa. First half. United restored their 2-goal lead 4 minutes before the end of a highly entertaining first half. First hour. For the first 9 hours, I had no painkillers, which was ridiculous in 35 degrees heat. First hurdle. Pole idols face first hurdles. First launch. Nintendo first launched its Game Boy console in 1989 and has dominated the market ever since. First leg. Chelsea face Barcelona at home on March 8, having lost 2-1 in the first leg. First look. First look at PlayStation 3 chip. First minister. The first minister should withdraw these remarks immediately. First minute. Fernando Torres gave Atletico an ideal start with a goal in the first minute. First month. He added that sales in the first 3 months of 2005 would be subject to normal seasonality. First name. The 32-year-old Ethiopian is the first star name to enter the event. First night. The red carpet gala opening night was ditched in favor of a more subdued first night. First novel. Flight into Danger was adapted to become Haley's first novel. Runaway 08 in 1958. First performance. Spain's first half performance is showered with praise, with Xavi singled out as the biggest star. Quotation mark. First person. It helped to establish the concept of the first-person shooter. First place. We knew Japan would be the first place to have the handsets that could use our technology. First president. Douglas Fairbanks Sr. was the first president and oversaw the first awards. First prize. The other contenders include Susan Fletcher for Eve Green, which won the first novel prize. First product. The first products using UWB technology from Intel are due to hit the market later this year. First quarter. But Ford declined to provide guidance for first quarter 2005. First release. The cast and crew are to work on 2 sequels back-to-back, with the first to be released in 2006. First report. The group is the first of Britain's 5 big banks to report 2004 results. First round. She was knocked out in the first round of the French Open but reached the second round at Wimbledon. First sentence. For the record, first 3 sentences of email spot on. First series. The final of the first series will take place on December 11th. First serve. The crowd are getting very involved, cheering between Roddick's first and second serves. First set. Its first set of lawsuits were filed in November 2004. First single. The Jimi Hendrix Experience's first single Hey Joe, signed by all the band, was sold for £2,000. First stage. That was billed as the first stage of reform of the institution. First start. It will be Stevens' first start after 2 caps as a replacement against the All Blacks last year. First team. They're acting like they're the first team to be cheated of a win. First term. In our first 2 terms we have raised it. First thing. The first striking thing about the DS is how retro it looks. First time. Lib Dems target first time. First use. The company has also become one of the first to use organic LEDs in its products. First venture. It is not Tarantino's first venture into TV. First week. Shark Tale is now the 6th highest earning DVD for first week sales. First woman. Among the records is the story of Jane Campbell, the first woman ever to divorce her husband. First year. Now in its 21st year, Sundance continues to grow. Fiscal tightening. Either way, fiscal tightening is needed, NIESR said. Fish stock. MPs are deciding whether to recommend a new system of community quotas to conserve fish stocks. Fishing industry. MPs assess Scott's fishing industry. Fishing trawler. In one of his latest posts, Herodic asks, have you ever seen fishing trawlers on the road? Fit perfectly. The release of the Mac Mini fit perfectly with this trend, he said. Fit well. The 7E7 fits better for what we needed and it could be delivered when we hoped to get it. 5-day. And some of them are even sadder. Today our son was 5 days old. 5-member. Laban also said the 5 members were getting on very well. Fix problem. Microsoft, however, does provide an add-on tool for Windows PCs that fixes the problem. Quotation mark. Fixed phone. However, when pressed few could say with accuracy how tariffs on fixed and mobile phones compared. Flat surface. Also on display will be a virtual keyboard which projects itself onto any flat surface. Flaxseed oil. White said Conte at first told her the substance was flaxseed oil, only to change his story later. Flight attendant. Early this year, Qantas increased the number of flight attendants based in London from 370 to 870. Flight crew. Commer's computer breakdown plunged its flight crew scheduling system into disarray. Flight mission. It will be used to model flight missions, climate research, and aerospace engineering. Fly airplane. Could I fly the airplane? Fly plane. I'm a pilot and my tremor condition has not limited my ability to fly a plane, he said. Follow model. This is about encouraging collaboration and following a model much like academia. Follow plan. He also followed the game plan. Follow suit. Now, though, it has finally followed suit. Following year. The following year, though, would have to be back on track, he warned. Fond memory. Leave them alone. Why ruin something that we all have very fond memories of in the first place? Food chain. There has to be something at the top of the food chain, and that is manufacturing. Food company. Food companies pay supermarkets and retailers for prime shelf space. Food industry. I think this is because the food industry and the environment have improved, he remarks. Football Association. But now he claims Ferguson should be punished by the Football Association. Football club. Mr. Glazer has been stalking the Premier League football club since 2003. Football coach. How can a German football coach and an Australian rugby coach have anything in common? He asked. Football league. The combatants from one-time prosperous mill towns are both founder members of the Football League. Football manager. Football manager scores big time. Football match. But if it comes to a football match, I think we'll win. Football stadium. Wembley sold the English National Football Stadium in 1999 to concentrate on its gaming operations. Football team. They own the successful Tampa Bay Buccaneers American football team based in Florida. For instance. For instance, US-based Amazon.com holds a patent on one-click shopping. Forbidden love. It's about forbidden love. Force way. The onus is on Juninho to force his way into the team, he said. Forecast growth. The ECB has forecast economic growth in the Eurozone of 1.9% in 2005. Foreign bank. Rosneft already faces a similar $540 million repayment demand from foreign banks. Foreign company. The UK gambling industry is being totally frozen in time, and the foreign companies will take over. Foreign currency. Tourism also brings in much needed foreign currency. Foreign debt. Gold and foreign currency reserves of $119 billion beat its foreign public debt of some $113 billion. Foreign exchange. Japan has $850 billion in foreign exchange reserves. Foreign film. Sundance to honor foreign films. Foreign firm. US gives foreign firms extra time. Foreign investment. He said. No country can develop on the basis of foreign investment alone. Foreign investor. China is encouraging state-owned companies to sell shares to foreign investors. Foreign language. Nominated for the Best Foreign Language Oscar and winner of Best First Feature at Cannes. Foreign Office. The Foreign Office currently has about 6,100 UK-based staff. Foreign ownership. Malaysia's central bank is to relax restrictions on foreign ownership to encourage Islamic banking. Foreign rival. But America's loss was its foreign rivals' gain as they continued to nibble away at the US market. Foreign Secretary. Foreign Secretary Jack Straw is to visit Thailand and Indonesia this week. Forensic evidence. Lawyers also fear the effect because jurors have a distorted view of how forensic evidence is used. Form association. Joining professional groups or forming a loose association of like-minded people may assist. Form team. They are the form team of the tournament and are tipped to claim their first Grand Slam since 1948. Form union. Two of Britain's big trade unions could merge to form a super union of 2 million members. Formal bid. So far, however, neither have tabled a formal bid. Formal offer. If the family makes a formal offer, they will need the support of the club's biggest shareholders. Formal situation. It's not a formal situation where they've got so much time to respond. Former assistant. Former assistant Antonio Lopez will take over as the new coach. Former boss. $1 million payoff for former Shell boss. Former captain. And former England captain Moore told the BBC. Full-backs are too far away from the action. Former chairman. The former Tory deputy chairman's 5-year suspension from the party has just elapsed. Former champion. Next after the former world junior champion beat Tommy Robredo 7-6-7, 2-6. 4, 6, 1. Former employee. Some former employees are angry at the way cash crisis was handled. Former executive. 3 former Ahold top executives last year agreed to settle fraud charges. Former manager. The former France manager moved to White Hart Lane this summer but now wants to return to France. Former member. Worse could follow, according to former British team member Chris Bailey. Former minister. Former NI Minister Scott Dyes. Former player. Mr. Gamble is a former Scottish international rugby player. Former president. Mr. Lewid's theory has also been questioned by Plaid Cymru's former president, David Wigley. Former wife. On a visit to Los Angeles, his former wife introduced him to actor Nicolas Cage. Formerly known as WorldCom, MCI is a long-distance and corporate phone firm. Formidable challenge. Ferguson said Milan's front line would still represent a formidable challenge for his defenders. Formula 1. The 24 games for the mini-console include Ape Academy. Formula 1. Wipeout pure and fired up. Fortunate position. Brian and Seamus are in the equally fortunate position. Fortunately for the French, the opening match of the Six Nations sees them entertaining. Founder member. The combatants from one-time prosperous mill towns are both founder members of the Football League. 4th time. The Japanese economy has officially gone back into recession for the 4th time in a decade. Frank discussion. Obviously we had some pretty frank discussions about this, he told BBC Radio 4's The World at 1. Fraud charge. Mr. Khodorkovsky is now in jail on separate fraud charges. Free access. The assistance of a U.S. law had given Lesotho's textiles duty-free access to North American markets. Free call. BT offers free net phone calls. Free entry. Foreigners of course would like to have free entry, but this is not the end of the world. Free expression. Free expression is absolutely vital in a democratic society. Free food. Casinos also frequently offer free food, drink and hotel accommodation to keep punters betting. Free kick. The home side regained the lead in controversial fashion when Robert Pires won a dubious free kick. Free market. European countries overall have benefited hugely from the free market in goods, he said. Free ride. Received a free ride into the last 16 after Lisa Raymond was forced to withdraw. Free sample. More than 80% offered free samples online, while 2/3 sold their music via the net. Free service. O2 also offers a free, web-based syncing service which works over GPRS and GSM. Free site. Blogs are free sites through which people publish thoughts and opinions. Free software. I use free antivirus software, AVG, and free firewall protection, Zone Alarm. Free speech. You have to remember that as an employee, you don't have total free speech anymore, he said. Freely available. Linux is a freely available alternative to Microsoft's Windows. French government. Our work with the French government has been hugely successful, said Mr. Blunkett. Fresh face. Keegan is expected to be told there will be no funds to bring in fresh faces in January. Fresh hope. Fresh hope after Argentine crisis. Frightening experience, he said in a statement. It was a frightening experience. From beginning, she was like my idol from the beginning of my career. Front line. And Tony Blair would be in the very front line of that campaign, he said. Front page. Just do it, implored the front page headline on Saturday's Western Mail newspaper. Front runner. He started well in the final but still could not stay with the front runners. Front tooth. Gallagher lost 2 front teeth in the fight, which led to the band abandoning their German tour. Fuel bill. Both said high fuel bills would continue to pressure revenues in 2005. Fuel cell. In fuel cells you need to have pumps and separators and evaporation chambers, he said. Fuel cost. High fuel costs hit U.S. airlines. Fuel oil. Venezuela has also offered to supply 120,000 barrels of fuel oil a month to China. Fuel price. Indonesians face fuel price rise. Fuel production. BMW cash to fuel mini production. Fuel tax. EU ministers to mull jet fuel tax. Full advantage. It would be a fatal mistake not to take full advantage of the union's safety effect. Full control. Lucy claims he touched it down and was in full control. Full cost. The full economic costs of the disaster remain unclear. Full detail. Fuller details are due to be unveiled on Monday. Full disclosure. Only the fullest disclosure will now do. Full extent. As yet we do not know the full extent of the injuries, but it does not that good. Full fitness. He will also aim to be back to full fitness before the Lions tour to New Zealand this summer. Full interview. Listen to the full interview with Gary Richardson on BBC Radio. Full recovery. He made a full recovery, only to leave the band 2 years later. Full report. That means we need a full report on what went wrong and what was done to fix it. Full responsibility. But she now takes full responsibility for her actions. Full scale. The first full-scale theatrical production of the musical will make its debut in Vienna on Saturday. Full service. A full service is set to follow in the summer. Full time. They all passed away long before the full-time whistle. Full training. He strained a muscle in his abdomen at the Birmingham meeting but is back in full training. Full year. BA had previously forecast a 2% to 3% rise in full-year revenue. Fully appreciate. It has to be seen performed live, with 125,000 people singing along to be fully appreciated. Fully aware, he said. Ministers were fully aware of the state of Scotland's jails. Fully capable. Arsenal are fully capable of scoring several goals against us on their own turf. Fully functional. This too crams a fully functional phone into a gadget that also plays games. Fully respect. We fully respect his decision. Fund investment. The Telegraph Group says the cuts are needed to fund an £150 million investment in new printing facilities. Fund manager. It came at the worst possible time, said Hans Godi, a Singapore-based fund manager. Fundamentally different. It's fundamentally different usage to what we have here, he said. Funding gap. A $2 billion funding gap still stood in the way of hitting the 2005 target, the WHO said. Funeral service. According to his wishes, there will be no funeral service. Further action. No further action is anticipated without a further ballot of staff. Further boost. The odds now favor a further boost to rates at the next meeting in early February, economists said. Further evidence. A swath of figures have provided further evidence of a slowdown in the UK property market. Further increase. A further increase in the adult rate to £5.35 an hour is provisionally scheduled for October 2006. Further investigation. We then made further investigations and it became clear this was a bigger issue. Further negotiation. It is understood no deal was offered in that meeting but there was room for further negotiations. Further question. He refused to answer further questions on the issue. Further reform. The Lord Chancellor hinted further reforms could be unveiled in the next Labour manifesto. Further rise. The further rise in U.S. rates is unlikely to have a direct bearing on UK monetary policy. Future development. These two fields will provide the core of the future developments in Rajasthan, Mr. Gamal said. Future generation. Future generations will thank him for his ridiculousness. Future plan. BA also says it has attempted to involve communities in any future airport plans. Future product. It is the second time in 2 weeks Apple has taken legal action to protect its future products. Future prospect. A batch of downbeat government data has cast doubt over the French economy's future prospects. Future revenue. Standard Chartered expects about 16% of future group revenue to come from KFB. Future version. Charging for future versions has not been discounted, he said. Future wife. From there he went to Cardiff University, where he met his future wife Glenys, now a Labour MEP. Future year. Borrowing for investments in education and infrastructure that pay off in future years makes sense. Gain access. Mr. Blunkett is taking legal action to gain access to Mrs. Quinn's 2-year-old son. Gain citizenship. Yusuf, who came third in the 400-meter, is from the Sudan but is trying to gain British citizenship. Gain entry. Mr. Hernandez said, after gaining entry, they found Mr. Davis had passed away. Gain power. For a team of astronauts who gained superpowers after being bombarded with cosmic rays. Gain qualification. The number of these people gaining qualifications was rising slowly. Gainful employment. Eventually Asimo could find gainful employment in homes and offices. Gallery director. Charles Somares Smith, the gallery's director, said he was delighted. Gambling industry. The UK gambling industry is being totally frozen in time, and the foreign companies will take over. Game character. This ability to personalize games and in-game characters would be key in the future, said Mr. Allard. Game console. It is compatible with all the major games consoles, DVD players and PCs. Game developer. The GDC is aimed more at game developers. Game industry. Jess San is one of the key figures in the UK's games industry. Game market. News Corp eyes video games market. Game plan. He also followed the game plan.